Welcome, everyone. Come on in. You may have just heard I lost the start button, so we we may be just 30 seconds late starting here. But once again, we appreciate everybody's time. Welcome to this month's edition of the Agency Revolution, The Pit Stop. And so just a few housekeeping items before we get into the real heavy introductions as per usual. Please, we'll encourage each and every one of you. If you have some questions as we roll through here, ask them. We very much try to be AMA. There's always a Q&A section or shall we say a portion of this at the end. But please chime in anytime. Use the Q&A section in the Zoom webinar. Ask your questions, and we'll I think, as Lucas likes to say, your questions, our answers. But we'll entertain those as we go through here and highlight some things, talk about some new ideas, and of course. But first, we need to do some introductions. So we'll start with the usual suspects, and we have a very, very special guest today. So if you don't know me, my name is Joel. I do throw a last name around once in a while. Zwicker. I am the insurance evangelist here at Agency Revolution, and as always, I'm super excited to be here with some great people, and looking forward to the conversation. Lucas, who are you?
I'm Lucas Jans, co-founder here at Agency Revolution and VP of Product. So I help make the things that you guys are using, and I'm somebody you can influence. If you see me at a conference or show, tell me what you need, and we'll see what we can do to make it happen. And we're joined by a special guest today.
So exciting.
Hey everyone, I'm Stefanie Altman. I'm the VP of Marketing at Agency Revolution. Also a big fan of baseball and mustard on hot dogs. I'm very excited to be here today to join in with my fantastic colleagues and share a little marketing perspective. And I guess my job is the reason you know about this webinar today.
I like it. And just to be clear, you're the one standing next to the hot dog, not the hot dog itself. Is that correct, Stefanie?
I don't know that you could pay me enough to put on one of those smelly masks.
Well, we even know it's you, though.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you here. And so, but let's get into it. We got a little bit of agenda here, so let's walk ourselves through it. So we got some product updates. So if you're an existing client on here, you'll be excited to hear Lucas explain and walk us through some of those, and we'll certainly do that. Then we're going to get into kind of the nuts and bolts of why we're here, streaming internal agency communications with Forge and Fuse. Stefanie had a very unique experiences about this and wanted to bring this to everybody, and I think this makes for a very interesting conversation. And of course, we are always AMA, which is ask me or us anything. So ask your questions as we go through here, but we'll have a designated Q&A section or time as well. And I feel obligated. We're all over the place. So you may have seen, if you follow us on LinkedIn or whatever have you, our heralded president, Jason Walker, is on straight up tour at all kinds of events and speaking and engaging with people. So if you're there, please, if you're at an event and you see him or any one of us, please stop and say hi. But myself, I'm getting on a jet plane. Next week, and I'm headed down to Las Vegas for Applied Net. Super excited for that. I'm going to be joined by my colleague Dave on that as well. So if you're headed down there, stop in and say hi to us. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, InsurTech Connect is coming up too. Is that, Stefanie, I see you're nodding your head?
Yep. So that's the week after. So basically, we're going to do a trade out, and Joel and Dave are going to leave Las Vegas, and Lucas and I are going to fly in for ITC. So would love to talk to you while you're there. So please feel free to reach out to either of us.
That is good strategy. That there's, like, I think in Vegas, you have that tipping point, like no more than 2 people at any given time from the company, just in case something crazy happens. So, but yes, please stop and say hello. So, but let's get into it. Lucas, product updates.
Cool.
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, we've got new stuff cooking. We have a larger team than we've ever had, and the great news for our clients is we're doing more than we've ever done before. So I'll share with you a little bit about what's coming very soon right here in the next month or so. Let's jump right in. We're focused right now on enhancing our integrations with Applied Epic and AMS 360. For Applied Epic, we've got this really big release coming. We know we've got hundreds of clients who are using just a classic Applied Epic, and they've got to upload a file now and then to integrate. We have a way to process those files securely over email coming very soon. November 26th is the date that we've got this one scheduled. So hold your horses. If you're on Applied Epic, we'll make this a little bit easier. Just hold on for another month, and then this will be automated and streamlined for you. More details to come. Before I go too deep in all these updates, one thing that you can do to stay in tune is if you log into Fuse, there's that little red icon every time we change the product and add new things. You can click on that to see what's new. And you can also log on to feedback.agencyrevolution.com and look at the changelog to see the new capabilities that we're rolling out. So you'll get notified soonest if you do that. Another cool Applied enhancement is for some of our power users of Applied, you're taking advantage of the servicing role capability, and you might have 7 or 8 different servicing roles, just depending how you configure Applied. And we're enhancing the system to allow you to send your email from any of those servicing roles. Why is that important? So that your emails can be personalized and come from the right person at the right time, given the context of that situation. So if you have a claims manager and you want the claims manager's name on those emails, we can do that. Or if you have a commercial lines account manager in a different role for a personal lines account manager, we've got all that taken care of. And this will be coming out next week. So just look for that. And there'll be a little way to change who those emails come from. For AMS 360, this one's neat. So we already have writebacks with AMS 360. That's great. Until now, all the writebacks have had a note of action type equals customer. We're letting you change that. So you'll be able to configure for each of the events, like whether we upload a file in Fuse or somebody's opened an email or an email was sent, you'll be able to map that to the different action types that you have configured in your AMS 360. So that's coming next week as well. And then finally, for folks on the Fuse texting platform, one of the challenges that you've got is you might have somebody with multiple customer records in your Applied system, for example. Maybe one for their barber shop and another one for their personal account and another one for their rental property. And so when somebody sent a text message, if you had a phone number in all 3 of those accounts, we just pick one at random for association. So then the writebacks to your system would be written back maybe to a different account than what you expected. So we're letting you see in the system which account that's connected to. And we're also enhancing the system so that you can see who's going to get notified of the responses for any of the messages that come in on those conversations. We don't want anything to slip through the cracks. For text messaging especially, it's important that you can respond right away. And so you'll have that ability to see who's going to get those notifications and change that as well. If you got any questions on any of these things today, feel free to ask at any time.
Before we jump into the main topic of this, I think Lucas, you mentioned the website, but I think it just should be clear for anybody on this call that while Lucas and his team are incredibly intelligent and smart, they just don't sit around the coffee table coming up with these ideas. They come from you. So much of improvements and add-ons and whatever have you come from the conversations, come from the feedback from our clients and what they want. We have the luxury of we only work with independent insurance agencies. So we're developing solutions and maximizing our solutions for you. So if there's something you love, please tell us. If there's something you like, please tell us. If there's something you want approved, let us know. And then you can vote things up and certainly we appreciate that feedback because those ideas come from you. So feedback.agencyrevolution.com, please engage there if you want. If you want to see positive change for your agency or things you'd like, that's going to be your biggest place to have an impact. Is that a fair statement, Lucas?
Absolutely. And I'll let you all in a secret here as well. If you're in here voting for something and we need to go through like a beta test, you're more likely to get a reach out. Like if that's something you really want, then you have an opportunity to be like an early adopter of that capability. So we leverage this tool on the product side to really engage with our customers, to know what you're looking for, and to chat with you to get more details about how you want that implemented. and also, a sneak preview of some of these capabilities as well. So feedback.agencyrevolution.com. Take a look, vote for what you're looking for, or cast your own ideas, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Awesome. So now we got through all that fun, exciting updates. Stefanie, streamlining internal agency communications with Forge and Fuse. Quite frankly, you came to us with a bit of an idea. So obviously not a bit of a great idea, because you had some conversations in multiple different places. I'll let you kind of just introduce this whole idea.
So thanks, Joel. I kind of, we were thinking about what did we want to do for the pit stops, kind of for the rest of the year. Something was stuck in my head. I went to a few conferences earlier this fall, and at each of them, I kept hearing people saying, we are really struggling to talk within our agency. There was one person who actually raised his hand at one who said, we keep losing Post-its, and then we keep communicating like 6 different people are talking to the same person, and we don't know what's going on. And this was a fairly early career professional. So I was surprised to hear someone who probably grew up quite tech savvy saying, we keep losing Post-its. So then I was kind of going around just asking some other people how they communicated internally. And there was a lot of that. It was everything on paper, maybe an email, but maybe someone misses an email. And then people were getting their clients calling back saying, why am I hearing from 3 different folks? I thought I already had this handled. And I kind of had a light bulb that, we've got to solve for that. If, you think about using Forge and Fuse together. And I think that's something that we haven't talked a lot about before, that we don't just help with the external, but the internal. So brought it to the guys and said, hey, this might be something that we can share with the world. And here we are.
Love it. Absolutely. So I think we initially start off with, if you're not as familiar with Agency Revolution, maybe or all of our solution sets, we really strive to be an all-in-one communication and digital provider for our clients. And they really break into 2 core solutions. You have Fuse, which Lucas just shared some great updates on Fuse, which is our communication, marketing, and process automation, as well as pipeline solution. Then we have Forge, which is our website solution. So as we walk through here, Lucas is maybe going to share some examples. I'll probably share some examples. Stefanie's going to share some examples. But if you hear these terms like, what is Fuse? What is Forge? Now you know. So how can Fuse become an internal reminder system for effective communication? Lucas, we've talked about this for years, and I think it's kind of one of those things that gets backburnered a lot for whatever reason. And and Stefanie brings it to the forefront. I'm like, a lot of people run into this, but we have a lot of clients that actively use Fuse for this. So
yeah, absolutely. And some of our smartest clients, they figure out the capability here, and they really take advantage of it to their benefit. It's not entirely obvious that Fuse is also a great system for internal communication. You think, oh, I'm getting all this data from my agency management system, and I want to automate the comms so I can build a better relationship with my clients. That's the core value, and that's what sticks out with Fuse. But all that data from the agency management system, that can be tapped and leveraged to communicate to your team about specific things. And Joel, we were talking about this. You call it like the data quality audit problem. Like there's data qualities inside every business, and it's hard to establish process and adhere people to that process. But we've seen our clients leverage Fuse to solve that problem in different ways. Joel, what are some examples of the data quality problem that you've seen in talking to agencies that stick out for you?
Well, the first thing, welcome to the club. So I think there's a lot of agencies that are out there like, I can't do anything because our data's bad. Well, welcome to the club. Okay. So I always say that, I firmly believe that the one thing, there's lots of things we do great, but behind the scenes, one thing that Lucas, your team, and we do maybe better than anyone else is work with the data. We integrate with virtually every major agency management system, and every agency that uses said management systems uses them a little differently, or not at all, or not well. And so you have these data quality issues. And so I think that's just a reality. But I think oftentimes you hear things like, here, you got this up here. So great example, the email field is always incorrect. I know when I was a client, actually, this was always, I don't know about your agency out there, people, but email field was more than just the email field. Sometimes we left notes for people, and so Lucas probably is much more attuned to manipulating the Fuse account to show this invalid. I'd always, Lucas, search for all emails that don't have an @ symbol. So that meant that there was something in there that wasn't an email, right? So invalid. So just, if nothing else, and this is a very basic example of a very common thing when it comes to data in the management system. So from here, obviously, our demo accounts, everybody has an email, but you can very easily highlight everybody that doesn't have an email address. And so you get a list that you can then export and share and update, but to the communications, you can start sharing that with the individual producer, break that down by producer. So every individual, like, hey, here's the account you don't have an email address for. Or Lucas, you could probably think of a dozen different examples.
Let me riff on this for a moment. So let's say you got your data clean and all the emails are in there. That's great. You're number one. Nobody else is doing that. Usually there's things missing and there's mistakes in the emails. But in the future, some people change their email addresses. Some emails go stale, or they bounce back because their mailbox is full, and there's data quality issues that just arise over time. So what if you want to alert your CSRs every time somebody's email goes bad with an internal email? It'd be really easy to do in Fuse. You say, okay, I got this segment here of invalid emails. Fortunately, nobody's invalid in my sandbox account. Say in the future, I want to immediately notify folks when their email goes bad. And I could just create a new campaign here. And I hit the create button, and now I've got everything set up, and I just need to add a reminder. So I'll do that via a reminder email. I could do we have different actions here. You can send a text message, or an activity or suspense inside 360. But this is like the secret glue that ties that data together to that internal communication. Is who you're going to send this email to. I'm going to go ahead and choose over here to send it to my staff, and I'm going to choose the account rep. So now every time somebody's email goes bad, the person who's the account rep for that client, they're going to get that notification. So I'll say over here, say name, say email is bad, and I can tell my team, reach out and get their new email address. So they're going to get notified automatically in the future anytime that email goes bad. I know this gets a little bit technical and I went a little fast, but you can see this is what it would look like. So your employee would get the name of the person and the notification as soon as their email goes undeliverable. That's kind of the anchor of this whole thing. It's not that hard, and we can walk you through setting that up, of course, as well. But there's other scenarios that we can do and set up internal notifications and reminders.
I'm actually familiar with I don't know the agency name, forgive me, but you may be another agency attuned to this, where the automation is set up that if a new customer comes in and the data isn't there, email, cell phone number, premium, or policy number, or whatever it is, something's not there that should be, automatically triggers a communication out to, once again, the producer, CSR, right, specific person, that data is missing and needs to happen.
I think something that you're kind of both hitting on here that's really important is you're continuing to keep your systems of record updated, right? And that's something that you need to do no matter who's there. Something that we heard a lot about kind of in this fall roadshow is that there's a lot of turnover. And if someone's just got stuff written and shoved in their desk, your system of record is out of date, and then you don't know what's going on. You don't know who internally has been talking to each other. This makes it kind of foolproof for that, where you know who's talking to whom when and how they've been communicated to.
That's right. And your system, your data is only as good as your people. And if their people are constantly changing, it's only as good as your process. And if you are changing people and you have no process, your data is going to suffer, as you point out. So yeah, you can set up all of these types of alerts and triggers in the platform. Just one more example, Joel, you mentioned, like, what if the premium is empty? Well, I could say over here, I want to target any active policy, active with no premium. And I could add another rule over here and say premium is empty. I don't have a list of folks, and I could do the same thing, like alert me if we've ever got a policy in our AMS with empty premium, which is going to make our reporting look really inaccurate and bad. We can be proactive and get ahead of that through here.
Awesome. Love that. And I hate to do the example over example thing, but
I can out example your examples. Let's go. Example.
Yeah,
battle.
no, but it's just so there's so, because this is real. I think this is so real. And this is one of my favorite things to look at is, so we're talking about new stuff, but stuff, a lot of people are coming on board with agency revolution today. They didn't start their agency today. They've been had an agency for a long time. They have all these things on in the future. So making it part of the renewal or account review process, that actually one of the first communications goes to the producer or the account rep with a bit of a checklist. So you just grab an account review, but that goes to the producer first, and a little bit of steal Stefanie's thunder here with the marketing terminology to even your own people, like, hey, Stefanie, Lucas's renewal is coming up. Let's verify that the data is accurate. And not only can we create a nice checklist, but with the fallback feature, Lucas, we can give subtle little kick in the pants too, like email, get it if it's not there.
Yeah. And, Joel, I'm going to step on your toes here, because that's it. Like in marketing, to put, that to steal my hat back here, we always want an excuse to talk to someone. And that could be that we've got just some really good, insights from the industry, that we've got a product update, or it could be that we want to talk to you about you. And as everyone listening knows, your client's favorite topic is them, right? So when you have a chance to call them and say, hey, I just want to do some run-throughs on your account because we want to make sure everything's correct. This helps you know, what reason you have today to reach out to them. And then it also lets everyone else know that you've reached out to them. So again, internally, they're not getting 3 people calling them over the course of a week to, have that same reason to talk.
Absolutely. And I think another, as we work through here, sales team here, we actually, I was involved in a call where we had an existing client in, and they were talking about getting engagement, getting buy-in from the rest of the team on a solution like this. And I think this is a big part of it, so people can see the value. Oh, this is why we're gathering this stuff, because it makes my job easier if the management system is accurate. Please don't bring me a list of the 487 clients that have a mess. Give me a couple at a time, right? And so automating this so someone doesn't have this great big scary list. And if you're on this call and you're an agent, call them a suspense, call them activities. We hate them. Okay, I was an agent myself for 11 years. You hate them. But what's nice is a nice clean just reminder, hey, this is coming up. Here's some of the few details. Getting a couple a day makes my job so much easier. So I'm not overwhelmed by the lists and the lists of all these people. Couple a day. All of a sudden, my job gets a whole lot easier because I've collected this data. And Lucas, while we're yakking, you're doing a great job showing this. And so thank you for that. But those are some of our my personal favorite examples. And I know there's dozens of others.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think then we jump into
what's up next here?
Yeah.
Pipeline. Yeah, pipeline's an interesting tool that can facilitate this internal communication and process as well. Here we're talking about how do we ensure that we'll never miss another cross-sell opportunity? And we obviously, the platform has all the capabilities to ensure that cross-sell opportunities are presented. Why would we, Joel, what are you thinking here? Why would we want to leverage the pipeline and not just email alone to automate the cross-sell opportunities? What is the benefit of taking advantage of that as part of the process?
Well, I think the beauty of the pipeline. So step back. I think when people hear pipeline, you instantly go with net new. Like, how do I get my net new prospects in there and follow them from contact made to, quote delivered, closed, won, closed, lost? Yes. Okay. Yes. That's fine and dandy. But this also plays with, I mean, if you're on the call and you're working in an agency and you're not currently working on a rewrite, or a reinstatement or a book roll, where are you working? We all need to move there, because it's just a reality. And so that is, I think, a big piece of what Stefanie shared is there's probably multiple people trying to figure out, oh, we got to rewrite this. Agencies can be good. Insurance agencies often, I think, have processes, but the organization of them sometimes struggles. And I think that's where, whether it's cross-sell or anything else, our pipeline solution allows for the organization of that. So the pipeline can be shared with an individual producer or a team, and then you can see where each one of these places fall. And then there's a place to accurately record notes, or at least someone can, hey, this person has been contacted. Look, they went from the client that needs rewrite to, hey, someone's contacted them. So a central place that's easy to see what stage people fall into, and no different than a cross-sell opportunity. I think we all believe that those opportunities are there. I think the vast majority of agencies believe they do a great job of this when they have the time. The problem is time, more so now, is just non-existent. So having an automation to drop those opportunities into a pipeline, so then once again, it can be a very organized approach on how to contact that. Stefanie and Joel are working together, and producers, oh yeah, I got to call Lucas about this. And then Stefanie has that same thought 3 hours later. It's not necessarily there, but if you have that organized place where there's no, hey, I need to call that person. Hey, here's our list of all of our people that need to be contacted, and we can easily see what stage they're at. That was pretty long-winded there, Lucas, but I think you get the.
Yeah. So using the pipeline can, simply put, help us be process oriented. So, I mean, you use a pipeline every day in the sales side, Joel, obviously, and you're looking at your pipeline and you're seeing who your prospects are, your second call outs, your demos are, and you're working through each of those in the respective status. And there's no reason it would be any different for a cross-sell opportunity either, right? And you should establish a process and move your leads through that process as well.
And I would say, Lucas, with that as well, it's, you have your internal process, but then also thinking about the thought process of your client and what's their experience of your process. So when you're using something like the pipeline to see someone move through, and then that client experience is better because, again, they're not getting that. They're not seeing any confusion behind the curtain that you might be having in your agency, because a lot of that goes away when there is that kind of defined thing that everybody can see, when colleagues don't have to try to read each other's minds to know what's going on. It really does lead to a much smoother and more positive client experience ultimately.
Anytime you can put time back in people's hands, it's a huge win. And purely organization in one place to easily see it saves everyone time, and that's a huge win.
So I don't need to show and demonstrate this here, but within Fuse, you can obviously do your cross-sell campaign, and you can have one of those steps be to create a new pipeline lead. And that would then immediately notify your producer, CSR, whoever you choose in the agency, to then work that lead through the different stages of the pipeline.
Like that. I think it's also worth noting in here, as we talk about that, is dropping people in, and I may have mentioned this, so if I'm rehashing it, but from that account review campaign, we can notify, hey, here's your checklist update, but also drop those people in because they are with a carrier that's non-renewing in a given state, or has a major, premium fluctuation or whatever have you. So, Lucas is doing a great job showing the pipeline and all the different options here, but just a way to really make sure everybody's on the same page and organize everybody's thoughts is I guess the name of the game here, and making it so someone doesn't have to manually type, oh, here's the next person. Like let technology help you in these things. Yeah.
Forget typing. People are using Post-its.
Post-its, right? It's funny. This is not helping our discussion here. I was in my career as an insurance agent, I had a problem, and I think this problem maybe exists broad form across the industry, that sometimes I thought once I wrote it down, it was done. that is not the case. You need to actually fulfill the request, the task, or whatever it is that came your way. So let's jump to the next, because obviously, as I mentioned, we have multiple solutions here. And, how can a Forge website be used for a new hire and other training purposes? So once again, communications, and there's multiple different ways. And so Lucas, and maybe I might share my screen here quickly if you want to stop, and I'll jump in here. So there's I've disabled myself. Hold on. I got to enable myself screen sharing. Hold on. Lucas, you got to change me into a host. But anyway, we'll walk through the Forge. Sorry, my apologies. I accidentally made Lucas the host earlier in the day.
Oh, that was a gamble.
That was a gamble. True enough.
There you go.
Perfect. And we'll walk. Still telling me I can't. But
How about now?
There we go. And so I'm just jumping on here. So this is our demo Forge website solution, and where I've just come here to clickable coverage. And so I think what the idea of bringing in new staff so they can educate themselves and are not being reiterated time and time and thing. I think one thing we really do well in this industry is talk insurance ease to people and expecting them just to understand. And I think the reality in the world where I very seldom do you talk to an agent that says, yeah, we got everybody we need. Everybody's looking for someone, CSRs, producers, whatever have you. We need people all the time. And a lot of those people have very little insurance experience or background. And so leveraging the solutions your agency may have to help with that transition, to indoctrinate them just to maybe the lingo or a little bit of experience. And so clickable coverage does a great job of that, because within our websites, we build these clickable coverage. We have 50 to 60 of these interactive graphics that, of course, were intended for clients or prospects of yours. So, the modern consumer has this desire to do a little bit of research on their own. Just think about yourself when you go to buy someone, you do a little bit of research before you contact somebody. I always want to know just enough to be dangerous. And really this lives up to that consumer experience, but letting new staff do some research. So if they're going to be personal lines, maybe we're going to use this homeowners, and now I can start clicking through here in a very understandable way what miscellaneous coverages may be, what umbrella or excess liability coverage may be, in very easy to understand without reading a manual or some other documentation that's come from within the industry that's meant for that, so people can start to understand these things. Or maybe they're going to be working more on the commercial line side, so maybe you're doing some garage repair shop, so I can start understanding the different commercial property and maybe do some easy comparisons. And so just leveraging the solutions that your agency already has that were intended for your customers, prospects, but internal uses, so people can work their way into that and start understanding, especially new hires is a great example. And then the second example that really can come from our Forge websites, and we actually did a pit stop on this 3 or 4 months ago. I'd have to check. It's with our good friend Jared West, and he was explaining how he was leveraging the video proposals. And I think this is a phenomenal, it's a great solution. Just remove the proposals part, because it's just a great way to use anything, whether it's proposals, service requests, or communicating to your team. He explains that, how many we get memos, we have conversations with carrier reps, we go to events and we get this information. And to Stefanie's point, you're sending out an email or you're passing around a memo or whatever have you, and someone's not there, someone doesn't read the email or whatever have you, using a video proposal to share that information. Just had a conversation with this carrier rep. This is what they're experiencing, or hey, they're going to be or we're going to be involved with this. Sharing, using video proposal to communicate with your team, and then it becomes a resource. So not only in the moment can they consume that, and video is always consumed better than a email or a letter or whatever have you, but then you can have a resource or a library of all those. So someone new comes in, they can say, hey, here's some of the key things you should be aware of that are impacting us, that our agency is, internal comms over the last 30 days, 60 days, or if I'm on vacation because I'm at Applied Net and I'm in Las Vegas and things get a little clunky and I miss a memo, I can come back and say, here's what I missed while I was gone, and go through those. So leveraging the tools that you have to just use them outside of the box, communicate to your clients. So Stefanie, go, I can tell you.
Yeah, and Jill, with that, I would say the video, not proposals, are also great to do internal training on very defined tasks. For example, I did one for our sales team to show them how to do a couple of minor updates on their LinkedIn pages. It was about 3 minutes. That's all it took, but much easier to do it once and share it with them for them to do it kind of on their time and be able to refer back to it next time they get a new headshot or need a new background. So it becomes kind of internal, always on content. And that way, that, people have access to it to continue to level themselves up as well.
One and done. And the reality, and we're growing. Lucas mentioned, we're always adding new people. Stefanie and her team doesn't have to, the marketing, well, they're on your team, so you can do it. But the service team, the support team, the sales team has someone new. Hey, here's the core resources you need to, if you're going to use social or you're going to do this, a resource. So you don't have to keep doing it over and over and over again. And really, people will consume that video in all likelihood much better than pure conversation or email or what have you. So use the tools that you have or can have to be more productive in those things.
Easy from where those lost Post-its, when you watch someone do it, you write it down and then you're like, wait, what'd they do?
Post-its.
Now you got the video.
Post-its. If you're living in a world of Post-its, do yourself a favor and stop. But anywho, well, I'll share this, and this brings us really to the Q&A section. We haven't had any questions as we went through this, which really leads me to believe that we just answered everything. And they were so blown away by everything that was shared that there was none. But if you have questions, whether it be on the topic or anything, please use the Q&A section, ask away. We're happy to engage with anything you have. I'm trying to think of a really creative question to ask one of you. But we're really in constant communication with each other. So I don't have anything outside of what you would prefer to have on a hot dog, which we got in a very heated conversation with before this webinar per Stefanie's picture. But Lucas, Stefanie, either one of you, anything else you want to add or share, please go away. Go ahead.
Any power users here taking advantage of some of the internal communications, I'd love to hear how you use it and what you're doing to share with the others. If you got any power users on the call today. It's a very flexible feature. All that data you get from the agency management system, you can create rules and automations around that to alert your team.
Absolutely.
I guess my closing thought goes back to something I said earlier, and that's when you have really locked down internal processes, that's a better experience for your client. That makes them more receptive to hearing from you. That makes them more receptive to buying more from you. That makes them kind of more receptive to trust you as the expert and advisor that you are. So kind of getting everything kind of tighter down in your house is going to be better for them as well.
Yeah. I've been such a vocal advocate of this as of late, but I think it plays to this. People love surprises, just not from you, especially when it comes to people miscommunication or not knowing or disorganization or whatever have you. They don't need that from you. And so you using that. So whether it's communicating internally, so everybody knows things that are coming up and having a central resource, or simply, proactively reaching out to them. And Adam has a question. I believe it's comments. So I'll just read it. I believe that you can do that right inside Epic and have it set an activity assigned to employee. How does this differ from that? So I think Adam and Lucas and Stefanie, feel free to chime in here. I think that what we're talking about here is there's so many places oftentimes within a management system, and each management system varies. So whether it's an activity, a notification center, in multiple places, and you're relying on someone to manually perhaps enter that, where we're leveraging automation, so ensure that these things happen and nothing gets missed. Greg has a great question.
Yeah, real quick on Adam's
please.
question, I want to point out one difference is, our platform is being used to communicate to clients. So we have some data that you're not going to get from an agency management system. We're going to know when an email bounces, whereas your AMS may not know. So there's a lot of automation that we can implement on that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Greg, hey, Greg. So Greg says, I use the video proposals and I like them. I'm going to just take the liberties, Greg, and change out like to love. So I use the video proposal, says Greg, and he loves them. But how do I know if it's adding any value? Not many have ever commented back about a specific. Do I need to ask them about their thoughts on a video? Great question. And actually, I think this, Stefanie, I'm going to throw you under the bus here a little bit, but I think this is right in your wheelhouse.
100%. So, I think Joel's thrown to me because I'm a little bit obsessed with data about what you're doing and making sure that you're getting data back. So, you can definitely get what I would call qualitative feedback and ask about their thoughts on the video. I think it's really useful, especially in terms of how you do your next videos. Are there certain things that they really like to hear? But what I would do is go look at, see, what's your success rate with a video proposal versus just emailing a proposal? You should be able to pull some of that data out of your agency management system and tie that together with what you're doing in Forge to see who got a video proposal versus something else. And then you can kind of see with hard data the lift that you're getting from them. And if you find that you're not getting as big a lift as maybe you'd hope, that's when you go back and say, okay, what am I saying? What can I adjust? What would really have that greater impact for my client?
I know data sometimes can be scary, treacherous to find, or what we're going to do. But Greg, what I would ask there, I think oftentimes when you take personal opinion and personal preference into the equation is where things get flawed. Hard data, as Stefanie just said, let me give you examples. I can oftentimes you'll have a situation where you're proactively doing something. You're reaching out to your clients, and then a producer or a CSR has an inbound phone call, and it's maybe not a positive. Why did you send me this? I didn't want that. And then in the next team meeting, what is often, I'm hearing that people aren't liking this. Well, no, you had one person tell you that you didn't like this. That's not people. That's one of the hundreds of thousands of clients. That's not really anything to worry about. But if you take a hard data approach where you'd say, how many people did we actually hear say this? Okay, we had 15 out of 1,000. Is that something we're worried about? So taking that to the video proposal, okay, we've sent out 10 of those 10. We closed 5 of that business. We had 10 other that we didn't, and we didn't do it, and we closed 2. Then we do video.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the right data to look at. Yeah, not necessarily if somebody commented that they like the video or watch the video specifically, but how does this impact the business metric that matters to you? That's the key data.
And I think as you go to get, if you want to go and get a little bit of, verbatims or personal feedback on that, the question isn't, did you like it? The question is, what about this made you want to close the business? What about you made you want to say yes? Kind of ask around some insight into it versus just the thumbs up, thumbs down. We always say in marketing, like if you're trying to talk to everybody, you're kind of end up talking to no one. And that's where you ask those really wide questions where you're not going to get the insights to help you. So I would consider how you frame the question when you go to get individual feedback.
I love this. This is a great conversation. In fact, we could do a webinar. Probably we'll do a pit stop on analytics.
We are doing a webinar on 10:30 about data-driven marketing. So
there we go.
Bring it on back.
if in complete transparency, one of the very first things I ever learned from Agency Revolution when I was a client, and this was whatever 20 some odd years ago, dating myself, was that there is power, knowledge is power, and having data. So in those days, I was worried about whatever marketing campaign was and where's it coming from, referral, where everything, and having data so I can say, yes, we're going to put a bunch of money into this versus that, and rather than someone's opinion, having real facts. So I love this conversation. Perfect. So I don't see any other additional questions. I think what I'd advise is, please, if you're an existing client of any solutions and have feedback, please, as we mentioned earlier, Lucas, forgive me if it's feedback.agencyrevolution.com. Is that correct?
That's it. Yep.
Please go there. If you have any questions about, if you're an existing client and have questions on maybe adding an automation, whatever have you, not sure where to start, team@agencyrevolution.com, whether that's Forge or Fuse, shoot your email in there. Our team is happy to help you. If you're not a client and you have some additional questions, agencyrevolution.com, top right corner, click get a demo. It'll allow you to schedule right into someone's calendar, whether you just have some additional questions or you'd like a further look into these solutions. So with that said, Lucas, as always, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. Stefanie, thank you for your expertise. We need you here more. It's truly valuable. And so thank you for your time. I know you're uber busy and to carve out the time for us and our clients. So, Adam makes it, maybe you could put out a blog article, the top 10 ways agencies are using intro. So there you go. On it.
All right. I like it, Adam. I'm going to steal that.
Consider that stolen, Adam. So anywho, and if you're interested in further any upcoming webinars, whether it's a pit stop or any of the other educational webinars that we have, you can find those as well. agencyrevolution.com under resources, upcoming events. Please check those out. I assure you, you'll find additional conversations that will help your agency today. And aside from that, thanks again, everybody. We'll talk again soon.